Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troller. 1972 to 1975.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to the 1972-75 Carryover League. Today it is the National League Championship Series with the number 6 Atlanta Braves and the number 2 seed Cincinnati Reds. I'm just going to go right into this, folks. Show you what's taking place. Opening up in Cincinnati for a Game 1. It's Phil Niekro for Atlanta, Gary Nolan for the Reds. In this one, good pitching early until the 4th. That's when the Reds make their move. Morgan singles, steals a base. Pete Rose singles, knocks him in. Tony Perez strikes out. Johnny Bench, RBI double. Foster K's. And then free agent acquisition, Don Mincher. 2-run blast to cap the scoring in the inning at 4 runs. It stays that way. Gary Nolan, excellent start. Gives up a solo homer to Davey Johnson in the top of the 7th to make it 4-1. They knock Knucksy out in the 8th inning, loading the bases, and then it's Dave Concepcion, a big 3-run double to take away any remaining drama from this one. The Reds win 7-1, protecting home field in Game 1. Gary Nolan, 8 innings, 4 hits, a run, a walk, 2 Ks. Riddleberger finishes the game in the 9th. Niekro, 7 1/3, 9 hits, 7 runs allowed. 2 really rough innings. Normally, that'll undo you, though, against the Big Red Machine. They're capable of these big crooked number innings. They did it twice in this game. Game number 2. The Braves come out first in a game that has George Stone versus Don Gullett in a battle of lefties. A Ralph Guard double, an RBI single by Darrell Evans. And in the 2nd inning, it's a Rico Cardi double, RBI single, Paul Casanova, 2-zip. And the Reds unceremoniously were running themselves out of their innings here. Bottom of the 2nd, Tolan singles, Concepcion singles, Tolan singles, Gilbreth singles. Concepcion gets thrown out on a 17. He's a 17 runner, gets thrown out. Oops, then a Lomax. Innings over. They got 3 singles in the 3rd, but the Braves had a big 3rd themselves. Dusty Baker homer and a 2-run homer, Hank Aaron. 5th inning, Cincinnati. After 2 outs, single, and a guy getting thrown out on the bases again. This time, it's George Foster on a 17. So they're running on like 80% chances, 85% chances and getting thrown out. So the Braves are getting very lucky that the Reds... And the Reds are also burying George Stone in this game, and they would eventually complete the job in the 6th. It starts innocently, another single, but a double play. So there's 2 outs, nobody on base. Stone walks Morgan. An error by Davey Johnson, having a rough year defensively. Tony Perez single, and then Johnny Bench, 3-run home run. George Stone gave up 16 hits in 6 innings, 6 runs, only 2 were earned. A walk and 2 Ks. Don Gullett went 7 1/3. The bullpen of Bourbon, Riddleberger, and Clay Carroll getting the final 6 outs with an incident, and the Reds win a game that they were about to kick away, but they got back on track with enough offense. Boy, they had plenty of it. They went 17 for 39 in the game, and that means they hit 436, folks, as a team. Top to bottom, everybody on the Reds, batters 1 through 9 can hit. Unlike some teams, like Atlanta has Bobby Floyd, Mike Andrews, Paul Casanova. We saw even the Oakland A's, the bottom of their lineup, they had Larry Brown, Pat Corrales, guys like that. But the Reds, 1 through 9, they'll murder you. We go to Atlanta for Game 3. This is the heartbreaker, folks. This is the one here. It's Fred Norman versus Buzz Capra. Reds get a run in the first. The dreaded walk, single, double play scores a run without an RBI. The Braves come storming out with 2 runs in the first. A single and double by Gar and Aaron. And then RBI singles by Davey Johnson and Rico Carty. 2-1. But the Reds are the Reds, and Johnny Bench, playing like an MVP, ties the game with a homer. 2 walks, and then a 2-base error on Ralph Gar, a sac fly. And this is 4-2 Cincinnati. Top of the 5th inning, Johnny Bench, another home run. 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th inning. A walk, single, RBI single by Concepcion. And it is 6-2 at this point, and we're already thinking, oh boy, how ugly is this series going to get? Is this going to be a sweep? Bottom of the 5th, you get a Mike Andrews single and a Hank Aaron 2-run homer. That's 6-4. Reds get another one. It's Morgan and Rose. They are really clicking on all cylinders now, folks. They brought their batting averages up 50 points, which means Morgan's up to 260 now. And Pete Rose is hitting 311 now after really bad slumps during the All-Star break and so forth. It's a 7-4 game. It stays that way into the 8th. The Reds decide to pull Fred Norman after 6. They don't like the way he is putting men on base. Jack Aker goes an inning and 2/3. He's good in the 7th, not very good in the 8th. Braves have their chances in a 7-5 game with a runner at first. Ralph Gar on his own card rolls 1-1, single ... gets the triple. So that puts the tie run at third with 2 outs. They intentionally walk Hank Aaron, and then they unintentionally walk Darrell Evans, and that's the 3 batters Riddleberger faced, getting nobody out. So Clay Carroll has to come in with the bases loaded in a 7-6 game. He strikes out Davey Johnson. In the 9th inning, Rico Carty singles, but Clay Carroll, just like we saw in the American League out of Rich Gossage and Raleigh Fingers, Clay Carroll's lights out. He gets Johnny Oates to strike out, Marty Perez to ground out, Frank Tepedino pinch hit, pop out. And yeah, there it is, folks. Reds back-to-back one-run wins. 6-5 and 7-6. Games the Braves could have had, but they didn't. And it's Game 4. From Hotlanta, facing a sweep in a rather unceremonious National League Championship Series. We weren't sure what we were going to get, folks. I thought the Braves had a ton of momentum. They had last year's revenge on their mind. They still can. They still can pull an 0-3. I tell you what, it's easier to pull 0-3 out of your butt in Strat-O-Matic than it is in traditional Major League Baseball, Red Sox. So there you go. It happens more frequently in this sport than traditional MLB. Can the Braves rip off 4 straight wins against the height of their powers Cincinnati Reds? After a day off in Atlanta, everybody cooled off at the pool, and we're back. Refreshed, Jack Billingham will get the start for the Reds. 73, 19 and 10, 3.04 ERA in 293 innings. And the Braves will send Phil Niekro back out there, after, pitching on 3 days rest. 20-game winner in 74 with a 2.38 ERA in 302 innings. Both starter-8 pitchers. Slight edge to Phil Niekro. In a elimination game, we'll play every elimination game that happens. I could be very busy, or this could be it. Who knows? Leading off is Joe Morgan. 3-6 is a walk. Well, this is much easier when Buzz Capra was pitching. We always wanted Rose to hit. I'm thinking I want to go back to stealing bases again. So Morgan's going to attempt to steal, And he's in there. Boy, it seems like if they decide to not steal, it works, as Rose gets a hit or a hit and run. If he steals second base and stays out of the double play for Rose. That's how the Reds have been at the top of the lineup lately. Here is Pete Rose. 310 for Pete Rose, of course, is single ... and that's the RBI. And that's what they've been doing. That's basically it. Morgan walks, he steals, Rose knocks him in, rinse, repeat. So if the Reds are going to do that, waste of my time. You already know what happens, folks. You saw this movie in the 1970s. It's called The Big Red Machine. Anyway, Rose is at first. It's Tony Perez. 67 is a K. Johnny Bench. 610. Third X. This is Darrell Evans. A 3E23. And he'll boot the ground ball. Runners at first and second, 1 out for George Foster. 1-7's a K. And with 2 outs, big moment here. Don Mincher, a very effective free agent signed by the Reds in the offseason. 110, flies to right field. 1 run, not bad. Dusty Baker leading off. 53, right X. This is George Foster in right field today. A 2E4 in right. And he gives up a single. Atlanta had this lineup in Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, Game 4. Not changing a thing. Again, they lost a couple of one-run games. They scored a bunch of runs in the last 2 affairs. The hitting's been there. The offense has been, the pitching's been spotty, as you can imagine. Ralph Garr. 1-6, double 1-11, and it's a double. Second and third for Hank Aaron. 3-6, right on cue. Oh boy, folks. Gosh. You know, this thing could get really nuts early today if both teams decide that the Reds are determined they want to sweep, and if the Braves are saying no freaking way, we're going to go out on it with a bang and get like all 40 of our home runs that 3 of our guys hit, Aaron, Evans, and Davey Johnson. But anyway, Hank Aaron leading the entire Major League Baseball in home runs in the carryover league now. That is gone. One of his 40 homers of 1973. And it's 3-1. Darrell Evans, 2-3, grounds to first. Last time we saw Billingham, he got knocked around by the previous Red opponent, which at the moment escapes me. Oh, the Cubs. The Cubs beat the living tar out of Jack Billingham the last time we saw him. It was like 16-3 or something. So he's in a slump, pitching slump. Davey Johnson, 53, right X. This is Foster, responsible for that first, and now responsible for this double. Inning could be over right now, but Foster's misplayed 2 balls so far. Frank Tapadino, 57, second X. This is Morgan, a 1E13. The runner goes to third with 2 outs for Marty Perez. And Marty, 35, is going to get the RBI. Frank Tapadino's card falls on the ground. Oh, Frank. You don't want to play? Jeez. Get that back in this card stack there, folks. Marty Perez, 35, double 1-2, single. It's an RBI single. It's 4-1. Mersey Oates, Johnny Oates, 52, flies to right. 4-1 Braves. Is that enough? I don't think so. Dennis Mankey, 48, K. Concepcion, 46, is a walk. Geronimo, 1-8, is a walk. Joe Morgan, 6-12, first C. Second and third for Rose. 1-6. Let's look at an MVP. We got a bunch of them. Yeah, we got MVPs out the wazoo, folks. Here's one. 73, Pete Rose, MVP, 338. Frankly, he's better in 69 and in 70. But that's okay. They had to give him one. His teammates were stealing all the hardware, so they gave Rose the MVP in 73. 1-6, triple 1-6 double. It's a double. And Geronimo will try and score to cut it to 1. And he will. It's a 2-run double. 4-3. Rose is at second for Tony Perez. 46 is a walk. Now we got another MVP, Johnny Bench. 410, pops to first base. 4-3 game. Exciting game. Mike Andrews, 38, short. Well, Braves, if you do lose today, you at least decided to make it interesting. Dusty Baker, 210 single. Ralph Garr, 66. Single to right field. Baker, you want to go coast to coast on Foster? Nah, Foster's got a negative arm. Yeah. First and second, one out for Hank Aaron. And Hank Aaron on 1-7 is a 6-4-3 double play. Now, what's interesting about that, if you go coast to coast, Garr would be held to prevent stealing second base. That it was up the hole, and it's not a double play. So there's a whole chain of events there that happened when you didn't go coast to coast with Dusty Baker. Maybe Dusty needs to be a little, faster or something like that. I don't know. 4-3 in the third, or maybe I just need to do every risky thing that, I know they're down 0-3, but you can only win one game at a time. And you do all the risky moves you want to do, I suppose. Maybe that's the only way you can beat the Reds. I don't know. Top of the third, George Foster. 3-6 is a single. Don Mincher, 6-11. Pitcher X, Necro. He's an E0. That's a 1-6-3 double play. And with two outs, it's Menke, 6-10. Third X. Darrell Evans, 3-23 a third. And he boots that ground ball. Tyron is Menke. It's Concepcion. All-star shortstop. 69. Flies to center field. Bottom of the third. Here is Darrell Evans. 2-5 walks. Davey Johnson. 65. Triple 1-2 double. Is a double to center field. Darrell Evans. You want to run against Geronimo? No. Second and third. Nobody out. Frank Tepedino. 38. Right beat question mark. Do you want to run Darrell Evans against Foster this time? Oh, for Pete's sake, we'll run him. And he slides in barely safe on exactly a 13. We'll just double check the math. It's 12, 13, 14 a tag up. Minus one arm makes it 13. Gets a 13. Right on the button. Tag. Johnny Bench isn't happy. He didn't think the guy slid under the tag, but yeah. All right. So it's 5-3 now. Davey Johnson's at second with one out. And it's Marty Perez. 47 Ks. And with two outs, it's Johnny Oates. He grounds to short. 5-3 game in the fourth. Geronimo, 39 center. Joe Morgan, 3-6 is a walk. I'm not a big fan of stealing with one out. I like to do it 0 or 2 generally. And we're losing. And I got Pete Rose, who's 2 for 2 with 3 RBI. Make it more. 1-7, double 1-3. Single ... Rose just nailing his column now, folks. He's going to get that average. Remember, he was hitting 264 at the All-Star break. Now he's hitting about 311. And his card hits 338, so he still has some more work to do. Runners on the corners, one out. Tony Perez, 2-run lead. Have to think you play back for a double play if you can. You're not going to hold Rose at this point of his career. He's a C. Here's the pitch to Tony Perez. 1-5's a K. And Johnny Bench. Big moment for Johnny. He's homered in 2 of the 3 games. 56 is double 1-4 off Negro. That's an RBI single. It's 5-4. Rose is the tie run at third. Bench the lead run at first for George Foster. 64. Catcher's X. Boy, this would be a real dirty way to get another run, but it looks like it's going to go that way. 3-E-4 catcher. It's a ground ball C, so they don't get the run. And no pass ball while pitching that. It's just a ground ball C with 2 outs. Inning's over. Braves still lead 5-4. Bottom of the fourth. It's Mike Andrews. 67, single 1-17, gets it. Johnny Baker, 58. Short X. Concepcion, a 2E21. Got to stay out of the double play if you can. Ground ball C, they do. Trouble getting out of the glove. His only play is at first base. So Mike Andrews is at second for Ralph Garr. He's also 2 for 2. 56 is a walk. 2 on, 1 out for Hank Aaron. 3-run homer in the first. 46 off Billingham, flies to left. And with 2 outs, it's Darrell Evans. 57 is second X, Joe Morgan. 1-13 at second base. Makes the play. Oh, Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta. It's just a 1-run lead. Top of the 5th. Basically, the Reds have sent one more batter to the plate. Trail by a run. It's Don Mincher. 4-11 off Negro, left X. Aaron's a 3-8 in left field. Ooh, ooh boy. It's a double. That's a shocker there. All right. Third baseman Dennis Menke. Also part of that Joe Morgan deal with Houston. 3-6 is a walk. Can't be doing that. Can't walk 191 hitters. First and second, nobody out. Dave Concepcion. 35, center B. Question mark. Nobody to tag up. 1 out. 2 on. Cesar Geronimo. 1-9 is a K. And with 2 outs, back up top, Joe Morgan. Hey, walking gonna hurt you. Don't be afraid to walk Joe Morgan for the 3rd time. Here's the pitch. What? Let's take a look at the Joe Morgan card. Oh, yeah, another MVP. Yeah, another one. Another MVP. Yeah, 1975 Joe Morgan card. Yeah, he's hot. He's hot. He's hot now. It's all kicking in. And frankly, this is why they got him. It wasn't for the regular season. It's for winning a World Series. He stunk up the joint in the first half, hitting .212. Since then, he's been on absolute fire, leading the planet in stolen bases, walks, and a .265 average probably by this time. This card, it's .327 for you in 75 with 132 walks, 17 home runs. Probably not even as good as a 76 card. But anyway, Joe Morgan, 3-run homer with 2 outs in the top of the 5th inning. It is 7-5. Pete Rose looking for his 4th hit. 3-11 is a hit by the pitch. Yeah, hit? You know what? Only Phil Negro can get away with that because that knuckleball is dancing all over the place. But give up a 3-run homer and then you plunk Pete Rose immediately thereafter. You're lucky you're Phil Negro, or there'd be some nasty words said. Actually, some nasty words probably were said. So, Tony Perez. 66, single 1-9. Oh, they got it on a 7. And now it's Johnny Bench. The pitch to Johnny Bench. 1-3. Grounds is short. And we still have a baseball game. Whew. Trying to make this dramatic, folks, if I can. Adding drama to this. Reds crooked numbers again for the 4th day in a row. It's 7-5. Bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
All right. Jack Billingham. You know, if the Reds really needed this game, they'd think of quick hooking him because he's been pitching poorly of late. But you know what? You're up 3-0 in the series. No need to wear the bullpen out. Let's see if he can figure himself out. Let's see if he can find himself. Jack Billingham. Let's see if he can. He threw a shutout or 2 early in the year. So he needs to rebound and find himself. Bottom of the 5th. It'll be Davey Johnson leading off. 58 short X. It's Concepcion at 2E21. Makes the play. Getting better defensive support since the lapses earlier with Foster. And I think there was a single in there off of somebody else. But anyway, Frank Tepedino, 64, off of Billingham. Oh boy. Homer, 1-5, double the rest. It's a double. And your tie run is Marty Perez. 55, second X. This is Morgan, the fixer. 1E13. Almost an error. No, he's an E13. Runner goes to third with 2 outs. And it's Mares Eat Oats, Johnny Oates. And he bounces to third X. This is Menke, a 2E15. Not bad. And it's bad enough to make that error right there. Oh, okay, yeah. 1-run game. Tepedino scores on the foible. It's 7-6. Johnny Oates at first. Number 9 hitter Mike Andrews, former member of the Chi Sox and Red Sox. 311 flies to right. Well, exciting game for a team that's down 0-3. They're putting up a fight. And the Reds are also not falling asleep at the wheel. Like they're coasting. They got the machine cranked up. They just want to keep it rolling. They've scored in 4 out of the 5 innings, hoping the Braves would have quit. But they haven't. Top of the 6th. Necro, interesting case. He would give up 6, 7, 8 runs. Many starts in his career just stick around because he's throwing a knuckleball. He's got a rubber arm. He threw 300 innings. Just leave him in there. Tom House is available. He threw 2 innings yesterday. Bob Miller, former Pirate closer, is very good. Mike Beard, nice lefty setup guy. But we'll keep rolling with Necro out of the spirit of the game here in the top of the 6th. It's George Foster. 68 flies to left. Don Mincher, 1-7's a walk. Dennis Menke, 37, that's a walk. Can't do that. Just can't do it. Can't do it against this team. It'll kill you. If you can just somehow get up to Morgan and Rose in this inning, that'll probably write you a ticket to the World Series. So you have 2 on and 1 out. It's Dave Concepcion. 2-7's a K, and with 2 outs, number 9 hitter is Cesar Geronimo. 1-8 is the walk, and here we go. Point of weakness, maybe? Let's just double check this before we get to Morgan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, you know, by my rules, oh yeah, he's well past point of weakness. And it's Joe Morgan, and who is the best pitcher in the Atlanta Braves against Joe Morgan in this situation is what you have to look at. And the answer is nobody. It doesn't exist. If we do this, he can't finish the game and he's off tomorrow, but we're going to do it. We're going to go Tom House right now in the 6th inning. He pitched 2 innings yesterday. We're abusing the rules by how much you can use a closer, but this is because it's the season. It's done. They're over. They're out of the tourney. So House will pitch to Morgan, and I'll pitch the 7th, and then we won't see him until game 6, if there is one. So Tom House comes in. Yeah. Thanks, Phil. Thanks. Yeah, that was great, guy. Hey, only 7 runs so far. That ain't bad. But Necro exits. Tom House comes on in the 6th inning. Bases loaded, 2 outs to face Joe Morgan. And if the Braves have shovels, they need to use them now to dig out of the hole they're in. Here's the pitch. Joe Morgan. 48 off of House is a strikeout. And the inning's over. We got a 1-run game still, folks. And the Rowdies in Atlanta are getting rowdier. They sense a comeback. Or at least in this game they sense one. Because Jack Billingham's still pitching. Bottom of the 6th, it's Dusty Baker. 35 is single 1-3. Can't get it. Rolls an 8. Ralph Garr. 55 short X. It's Concepcion at 2E21 at short. Nice play, Concepcion. Reds can beat you with defense. It's generally very good. Hasn't been today, but most of the time it's outstanding. 2 outs, Hank Aaron. 57 and a strikeout by Billingham. Now, he is nowhere near point of weakness, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But it was through 5 innings, nothing there. Big difference. Once you get to 15, 18 men on base, that's a little silly. 12 is reasonable if they don't happen in the first 3 frames. And he kind of spread them all out there, Billingham did. And frankly, it's advantageous for Billingham to be yanked anyway. So I'm doing the Braves a favor. Doing them a solid. 7-6 game, top of the 7th inning, no pitching change. Tom House continues. It'll be Pete Rose. They got World Series champion Bob Miller in that bullpen, too, from the Pirates. So they're not overly concerned if House exits here. Pete Rose, 63, pitcher X, House. Oh, E38. Well, that's something new I never noticed before. Wait a minute. Hold on. Ground ball C. Got the ground ball C on the Tunis. Tough break for Rose. Thought he had the easy error there. Now you got Tony Perez. 5-10 is a walk. Now you got MVP Johnny Bench. 3-10 left. And it's George Foster. 6-10 short X for the Braves is Marty Perez. 4-21 shortstop. It's a single ... Runners on the corners, 2 outs. There will be a pinch hitter. Mincher can't hit lefties. Oh, I really, great options. They do. I'm not joking. They have Bobby Tolan crushes lefties. Gilbreth hits like 310 against them. Barton walks a ton. You have to assume that whoever you pinch hit, they're not going to yank house. Flip them over to the right side. And if you did that, you'd just throw another pinch hitter in there. So let's go. It'll be a right-handed batter. Let's go Gilbreth. Rod Gilbreth will be the pinch hitter. Let's take a look at Gilbreth's card. Ha! Yep. He was an Atlanta Brave. Whoops. No, not anymore. It was an Atlanta Brave in 73 with 74 bats. Hit 284. Really hits a lot. High batting average against lefties. Big moment here for the former Brave. With runners in the corners and 2 outs. Here's the pitch to Rod Gilbreth. 53. First C off of Tom House's card. And we're going to call that a day. There we go. All right. Stretch time in Hotlanta. We've been enjoying listening to Little Feat's debut record, and in my opinion, the best one. Just love the sound of this record. I mean, they changed their sound remarkably after this. But I'm telling you, this record, woo, man, all. Snakes and Everything, Strawberry Flats, the original Willin'. Yeah, Hamburger Midnight. My goodness, this thing is, it's nuts. Big influence to Royal Trucks, one of my favorite bands of the 90s. They do a record just like this, kind of, sort of. Anyway, back to the game. Bottom of the 7th, Jack Billingham. He's giving up 6 earned runs. We got a lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty. And then we can go Bourbon now. And then if I really want to get the lefties out, I'd go Riddleberger situationally against Garr and Darrell Evans. I'm getting Billingham out of there just because I think he's going to lose the lead or lose the game. So we'll go Bourbon. Pedro Bourbon will come out of the bullpen for the Cincinnati Reds in the 7th inning here. Three innings away from going to the World Series, right, folks? Bourbon pitched for that 72 World Series team that lost to the A's. He was 8-3 with a 3.17 ERA in 122 innings. Pedro Bourbon. A little bit better versus lefties and righties compared to, say, Clay Carroll, for instance. He will pitch to Darrell Evans. 2-6 for Darrell Evans is a K. Davey Johnson. 1-9 is a base hit. That's your tie run. And now you got Frank Tepedino. 53, first C. Tie run at second for Marty Perez. 2-7 is a grounder to the third. Stays 7-6. Man, Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta. I mean, you just lost two. You lost 6-5, 7-6, and now you're losing 7-6 today. Going into the 8th inning, and Tom House is done with an ice pack on his shoulder for abusing his use this season and in this series. Bob Miller. Yes, the Bob Miller, former Pittsburgh Pirate. Got a World Series ring for them in 71. 72, he's still good, as was their other Dave Justice and the Ramon Hernandez's. That whole Pirate bullpen was outstanding. 5-2, 2.67 ERA in 54 innings. Bob Miller will come on in the 8th. See if they can get the Reds to fall asleep like a baby. Just like a baby. Come on, Reds. Like, fall asleep. You got... I mean, you put 18 men on base in this. Negro put 18 on. House put 2 more. Or is that 20? Yeah, 1, 2 plus an error. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. You put 22 men on base. They've only scored 7. It almost cost them in the George Stone game. The Reds won 6-5. They had 6 runs on 17 hits. They're doing the same thing. They have had the ability to bury the Braves, and they haven't fully exercised it yet. So here we go. Top of the 8th. Bob Miller will face Dennis Menke. 1-7, you walked him. How many times is that? 3, 4. Yeah. Now you got Concepcion. Now Dave, he is a very, very unselfish player. Team guy all the way. How about dropping a bunt down? Going for an insurance run out of Concepcion. Let's do it. He's a good bunter. And it's a good bunt. So Concepcion drops a bunt down. Now we have the insurance run at second. And 3 straight lefties off of Bob Miller. And it'll be Cesar Geronimo. 2-6 is a strikeout. And back up top to Joe Morgan. You might as well make it an intentional walk, right? You know, because you don't want him to hit a 3-run homer. You're probably going to walk him anyway. Why not just make it an intentional one is what I'm thinking. Only problem is Rose is still really good against... I almost want to walk them both the way they're hitting right now. How many times have they reached? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've reached 7 times already in this game. I almost want to walk them both and take my chances with Tony Perez with the bases loaded and 2 outs. But, you know, the Reds got us where the hair is short, you know, as you like to say. And there is 2 outs, just 1 man on base. So, we'll let Morgan swing away. Here we go. 2-5, you walked him. Yeah, that's rather anticlimactic. Now the only question is, you got runners at first and second. You don't have to worry about stolen bases and stuff like that. You really walk Rose? I mean, the best option you have is that he's not as good against left-handed pitching, and you do have Mike Beard. But then you have Tony Perez and bench. And all you got left is Ron Schuler. You already did this move. It was with Tom House back here. And you shot your wad. You didn't score enough runs. So we're pitching to Pete Rose here with 2 on and 2 outs. Here's the pitch. 1-7, of course. Of course, folks. Indeed, of course. And you know what? It's a hit against a lefty. Yeah, that's the 5th time he's reached. Morgan and Rose, they've reached 9 times. 1-7, double 1-3, base hit, ... We got an 8-6 game. And that's you know, it'll probably be 8-7. You know, but that's what you do. You get that insurance run just to deflate your opponent even more. That was the double 1-3 single ... too. So Morgan goes the 3rd automatically. So the run scores on the single ... Rose at first with 2 outs, and it's talking Tony Perez. 5-10 is another walk. And the bases are loaded again. If the Reds have reached base 24 times, I don't know how many. You'd think you'd get into double digits, and it may happen right here. The pitch to Johnny Bench. 2-9 is a ground to short, and somehow the Reds have only scored 8 runs today. Leaving the bases loaded. They have put, well, I got to do this again. It's just driving me crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 26 times. I'm put in the comment section so I don't forget. There. They've reached base 26 times in 8 innings. They've only scored 8. It's an 8-6 game. And Pedro Rabon is still in there. And he will face Johnny Oates, leading off for Atlanta, the bottom of the 8th. 111 pops to third. We will get to see Hank Aaron one more time, so that's good news. Mike Andrews, 57 is a sky to left. And with 2 outs, Bourbon will face Baker, and then we'll see Riddleberger against Garr and Evans, the lefty specialist, before we go to Clay Carroll. Here's the pitch to Dusty Baker. 39 is a fly to left field. We go to the 9th. Bob Miller will just continue because the Reds are just in the batter's box. Not a lot you can do, Bob. They're the team out there you're pitching to. So here we go. It's George Foster. 35. Let's take a look at George Foster. Might as well, folks. Yeah, he's an MVP. Yep. Not this year, though. 75. He's a 300 hitter with 23 home runs. Triple 1-6 double. He's on third. That's 27. Using the comments section. This is just a comment section for like guys getting caught stealing around the bases. I'm just doing this as a cheeky way of reminding myself how many times the Reds have reached base in a 9-inning game. So George Foster is at third. They're going to bring the infield up, and it'll be Rod Gilbreth. Gosh, he just pinched hit a few innings ago, did he not? Oh, over there, yeah. Rod Gilbreth. He came on in the 7th as a swap of designated hitter with Don Mincher. Here's the pitch. 1-8 with the infield up as a pop to first. All right, still up for Menke. He's walked and walked and walked. He's not Joe Morgan. Now, I know you got him from the Astros, but Joe Morgan's the guy who walks. Dennis Menke hit 191. Did you get it, Atlanta? You don't walk this guy. Here's the pitch, Dennis Menke with the infield up. 1-4, lefty question mark. We're going to run Foster here to get us closer to double digits. He's a 14, 15, 16. Hank's got a +1 arm, making it a 17. He's thrown out on a 20. No sirree, Bob. Hitting over. Henry Aaron. Oh, Henry. Guns him down at the plate. And the 27th Cincinnati Red is thrown out at the plate in this game. They got 8. It's 8-6. That's all they did. What's that expression? All the rigmarole. Rigmarole. Hard to pronounce. Yeah, all that. Whatever. A 7-7-2 double play. Bottom of the 9th. Ralph Garr will step in. Hits much better against righties. We're going to pull Bourbon. And in the 9th, we're going to start with our lefty specialist, Denny Riddleberger. Who? Denny. That's who. Reds went out in the offseason, said we need a lefty. We don't care how terrible he is against righties. We want that lefty-lefty matchup. And Riddleberger in 72 for the Cleveland Indians, formerly Texas Rangers as well. He pitched for both teams. 1-3, 250 earned run average, 54 innings. Goes across state from Cleveland to Cincinnati here in the 9th, and he will face Ralph Garr. I'm smelling a comeback win, folks. This is all setting it up. I know what you're thinking, but I feel very good here about Atlanta here. 1-6, Ralph Garr, 1-1. It's a base hit. Also, he will go down to second base as it's a 2-run lead, and they don't want to hold him on. Now the next step is I'm actually going to count home run chances for Hank Aaron, and believe it or not, he hits more home runs off of righties. So I'm leaving Riddleberger in there as the lefty specialist. This is that lefty sandwich that tormented the New York Mets in the wild card divisional round. They couldn't figure out how to deal with Ralph Garr and Darrell Evans with Hank Aaron in the middle of it, because Aaron would destroy you, particularly in this exact scenario. Well, we're going to let Riddleberger pitch to Hank Aaron just because it seems like a fun thing to do. So here's the pitch to Hank Aaron. Give me a 3-6 to tie this thing. 6-12. Center C. Interesting. Center C is what we rolled on 6-12 on the Riddleberger card. He gets to face another batter. It's Darrell Evans. Let's take a look at Darrell. It really doesn't matter, lefty, righty. He'll hit the 41 home runs and walk 124 times. Believe it or not, he gets on base more versus lefties, but Riddleberger does not have a hit on his card, just some walks. Be the last batter he faces, meaning that he can't qualify for a loss. Then we'll turn it over to Clay Carroll. Here's the pitch to Darrell Evans. 47 is a K. And with 2 outs, it'll come down to Davy Johnson. And oh, hold on there. Yeah, we're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody there. Riddleberger's being pulled. He got through the lefties. And it'll be Clay Carroll asked to get the final out of the game. Clay Carroll in 72. Pitched in that World Series. 6-4, 2.25 ERA, 96 innings for the Cincinnati Reds. Clay Carroll comes in to face Davy Johnson. We haven't looked at Davy's card. He's had a rough season in the field defensively. But offensively is all that matters. And if you want to see 40 home runs on 3 consecutive Strat cards, I think I just did it, folks. I just showed you that. Hank Aaron's, Darrell Evans, and now Davy Johnson's. 43 home runs in the launching pad in 1973. 81 walks, a 270 average. Traded for Earl Williams. I think Johnny Oates was part of the deal going to Baltimore, which is odd because we traded him back to Atlanta. Anyway, Davy Johnson, it's the Atlanta season. You could tie it up 8-8 with one big swing, or you're swept. The pitch to Davy Johnson. 1-10, and that's going to be a base at the right field. And Gar will hold a third. So now you got Frank Tepedino. Let's take a look at Frank. Made the last out as a pinch hitter in the last game against Clay Carroll. Faces him again. A 304 hitter. Pinch hitter type. Would be a good DH for an era that didn't have one in the National League, but now replay, he is their DH. Platoons with Rico Carty. So Frank Tepedino, with runners on the corners, Carroll's not very good against lefties. Does have a 2-run lead. Tie run is Davy Johnson at first. Winning run is Tepedino. And here is the pitch. 57. This is a righty's out, but a lefty is single 1 to 18, and it's a base hit. And it's an 8-7 game. And Davy Johnson is at second. Tepedino at first. Davy Johnson's a 12 runner. Anybody faster than that on the bench to pinch run? No. Yeah, there isn't. So it comes down to Marty Perez. They don't have any more left-handed bats against Clay Carroll. Let's take a look at Marty Perez. Actually hits righties very well. Probably the best offensive year of his career. A 275 hitter in 500 plate appearances in 1975. Probably better suited to be a second baseman than a shortstop. Really hits righties well. He hits around 295 against them. Something like that. Pretty close. Not that great against lefties. This is exactly what Atlanta needs. First and second in an 8-7 game with 2 outs. The third consecutive time the Reds have had a chance to go to the World Series. Each time so far, the Braves have said no. Can they keep the streak going? Here's the pitch to Marty Perez. 34! Misses a complete column of hits from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And rolls 34 and pops to second base. And the Reds just do what they do. Yeah, they're not real efficient as far as leaving men on base, but when you put 27 men on, nobody's going to complain. So Clay Carroll managed to get one of the 3 batters he faced out to send the team to the World Series. Let's just take this all the way to the end here, folks. 4-game sweep. The Cincinnati Reds. Hey, 1-run wins. Very important to the World Series pedigree. Probably shouldn't have been 1 run wins. They probably should have padded their leads in those games a little more, but that's what it turned out to be. Bob Miller in 2 innings gave up a hit and a run and 1, 2, 3 walks and a K and a second hit. Tom House did give up a hit, a walk, and a K. Phil Niekro. Woo! Smell that? Woo! Phil, need a shower, buddy. Woo! Man, that's a strong line there. 5 2/3. Only 8 hits. Yep, 7 runs. That one, yeah, there were, yep. Ball 7 earned. I'm assuming he walked 10 by default. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 10 walks. And the Reds only struck out 8 times in the game. Nuxie struck him out 6, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 6. Ugh. It's an ugly line. Clay Carroll gets the save. Gave up 2 hits. Denny Riddleberger gave up 1 hit. Of course, the run scored because his teammate allowed that guy to score. Struck out a guy. Braves got 3 hits, a run, and a strikeout in the 9th inning. Yep. Pedro Bourbon, 2 solid innings of relief. A hit and a K. Very instrumental there. And Billingham does get the win. Did okay. He struggled in the first, settled down a little bit. Still had a rough 3rd and 5th inning. 10 hits in 6 innings, 6 runs. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are earned. Did walk 2 and struck out 2. 1019, 0109, 811, 714. Interesting to figure out who is going to be favored between the Reds and the A's in the World Series. On many fronts. One front is that the Reds beat the A's in the World Series 2 years ago. So there's that idea. 109, 811, 714, 811, 714, 14, 8, 24, 24, 14, 8. They also just swept a really hot Atlanta team 4 straight. I'm not going to say the A's struggled with the White Sox, because the White Sox are a hell of a good team. I think the A's were in 6 wars, 6 tougher games with the White Sox. I think that might be a tougher team. But the Reds' offense is, woo! As great as Oakland's offense is, the Reds' offense is still the top one. Yeah. The teams were 6 and 10 games over 500 when this thing started, and the Braves are already 30 and 28. That's how they'll finish the year. 30 and 28. It's pretty weird. They were 3 under 500 at the All-Star break. Then they got to a hot stretch. Then they finished with another slump at the end of their season. That's a real shame for them. Thought they were going to make at least a run in this series. But no, sir. They hit 258, not good enough. 389 ERA, that's okay for them, yeah. Phil Niekro, ladies and gentlemen, is 6 and 11. Ooh. And, ooh, ouch. Ooh, 68 times 9 divided by... with a 419 earned run average, that's not bad at all. Just a 6 and 11 record is rather spotty there. Tom House, though, 14 saves for Tom. He and Raleigh Fingers and Rich Gossage, all remarkable closers this year. Hank Aaron, 22 homers, 68 RBIs. One of the highest RBI totals for a player who didn't finish in the World Series. I want to say in one of these carryover leagues, Mike Schmidt hit 30 homers and drove in 86 runs. But I might be wrong about that. I got to go dig that up. That was almost 10, 15 years ago in that World Series, Mike Schmidt. But I think Mike Schmidt has the all-time record for homers in one season in this. That's Atlanta. Now the Reds. The big red machine. They're 30 and 16. Hitting 291. 421 ERA. Well, again, they score a lot. They give up a lot. But they have A good bullpen that gets them out of a lot of trouble. Speaking of, the bullpen's 5-1 with 12 saves. Clay Carroll's given up 4 runs in 20 innings. That's very, very good. Gary Nolan's 8-3, and Fred Norman is 7-2. In between, Don Gullett and Billingham are 5-6 and 5-4. Johnny Bench has 16 homers and 49 RBIs, which is outstanding until you compare him to Hank Aaron's numbers and Willie Stargell's numbers. But he's a catcher, folks, and he's still playing, number one. And number two, 63 for 175. Johnny Bench is hitting 3. Is that a... Let me make sure I typed that correctly. He's 63 for 175. He's hitting 360, folks. Johnny Bench, my goodness, leads his team in hits. Pete Rose is 60 for 185 now. He's hitting 324. He was hitting 264 at the All-Star break. Joe Morgan, wow, 48 for 182. He's hitting 264. Now, he was hitting 212 earlier, but he's also walked 40 times in 46 games. Has stolen 31 bases. Joe Morgan. 30, 16, 30, and 28 are the records. So, Cincinnati sweeps their opponent 4-0. They're 30 and 16. Atlanta finishes 30 and 28. That's a shame. World Series, Oakland has home field. The big bad Oakland A's are 31 and 12, 19 over 500. And Cincinnati is 14 over 500. Oh, I got to do this. 16. This is actually 19 and 14. My goodness, folks. So, this was set up for the Cincinnati a few years ago. This is an old spreadsheet. So this is actually the result of the World Series we played 2 years ago. The Reds won 4-3, finishing the campaign 35 and 15. Oakland finishing 34 and 21. So you saw that in that matchup, Oakland had 6 more losses. Here, the Reds have 4 more losses. So that's another reason to give Oakland, make them the favorite. I'm going to call it Oakland in 7. Somebody in 7. I'm just calling 7. It's 7. It's got to be 7. It's Oakland in 7. I mean, or Oakland in 6 maybe. But Catfish Hunter is 13 and 1. Yeah. So yeah, that's the World Series forecast prediction for you. But anyway, before we get to there, let's not go get too ahead of ourselves. First, we have to celebrate the Cincinnati Reds, winners of the National League Championship Series 4-0 over Atlanta. Give them a shout out. They're going back to a World Series after missing the playoffs a year ago. Thanks for checking this out, folks. We'll see you next time.